Starting. All right, so I guess we're live. So I decided I would open one of these rooms periodically. I will try to acquire some sort of regular schedule in terms of doing it, I suppose, but who knows what the right time is. Maybe 2 different times, um, just alternate or something like that. So, for the purpose of attempting to invite people to participate, so I will capture the link here just so I have it handy. Um, and I can PM it to people. But I also have to be able to find the room, so I have to do that thing where I actually see the chat that might be in the actual window. Oh, I have to go back to Chrome and open this and all this extra crap. So that should work. Hey, look at that. It's me. Wow. All right. So there's a chat there. So I have to make this window so I can see the chat. And I have to do. I mean, it really is silly that you have to go through this nonsense. I don't know why they have two chat windows. I still don't understand why. Why? Doesn't make any sense. Group chat, and then they have some other kind of chat. So anyway, um, so far there are no viewers, I imagine. I can't see the view number anywhere. Interesting. Yeah, well, whatever. There's no viewers. Oh, 4 watching. Okay. Wow, 4 people. That seems bizarre. Just the number of subscribers divided by the percentage of people who would have access at any one moment to hit the button and say yes. I mean, it just seems kind of bizarre. So anyway, if you're willing to participate in some sort of live format or way or microphone or something, and I'll send you the link. So you have to ask for it in one of the chat windows. So anyway, just me. It must be one of the crazy people. See, I can't see whose name it is, but yeah, they're all crazy. It doesn't say the name, which is really weird. The king, just me. Well, I guess that's the cowboy or something. Anyway, um, and yeah, so probably takes up at least 5 viewers. So I have 6 now. So there's only really 2 people because of sock accounts and whatnot. But anyway, um, so I guess I'll just do some stuff that I probably wouldn't waste my time in a video doing. But Pirro did make reference, and his complaint, his physics argument is that I say perturbation wrong, which who cares? Perturbation, whatever. I'm just supposed to say it gayer. Um, it's a silly word anyway, in my opinion. Don't even need it. You just use the word travel or move through or something. You don't need this silly, um, anal, strange word to say something rather simple. But anyway, it doesn't matter. I'm just going to say whatever I say. And this is coming from the guy who, says it's Mickelson Morley instead of Michelson Morley. But anyway, and then he complained about some other word too. And it's just like, oh yeah, those are great physics arguments. So yeah, I made a video called Questions. Questions video. There's a playlist now, Questions, on the channel. But anyway, there will be other videos. So maybe I'll do some of that in this video. I'll just go through some of the questions I haven't gotten to yet. So I better get a piece of paper, keep myself, in case I say something I need to remember. Good idea. Up to 9 viewers, so we're moving right along. So again, if you wish to participate live, you may do so. You just have to request the link, and I suppose you have to have a channel. I mean, it can't be too stupid a channel. Because it's just the trolls. I mean, I like to just have a room and not worry about it, but obviously the trolls just ruin everybody's fun. They cheat, and they have to keep cheating. They're all living on inherited money, apparently, so they're just used to being insane cheaters. So anyway, I don't know if that's, it's sad. It's a pitiful world. All right, liquid snakes love child. Hi, that makes a lot of sense. whatever. See, this is part of the problem. I did look at my channel the other day in terms of the subscribers, and they have like an average subscription number of like 3. So yeah, I'm not getting to people who seem very interactive. Oh, that's a comment probably worth doing. I can't read it because I can't. Well, I probably could. So yeah, I'll read it and then I'll delete it because it's such a stupid comment. Really wanted to hear you out. Okay. Well, I don't know. I mean, that's another thing I noticed is that I'm fast approaching 1,000 videos, which I never ever imagined it would take 1,000 videos, to convince reasonable people that the whole wooey, bizarre, strange, insane explanations that physics provides, you can do away with all that religion. You can just get rid of all that mush and have a nice, simple mechanical model. And no, people just are not interested in the truth or anything that looks too reasonable. It's like they're anti-reasonable, people are. So, Weezoid, retracted comment, a bizarre concept to retract a comment, but okay. Are you supporting absolute determinism? Well, it's not really the subject of this channel, but I'll do a second of it. Of course I am. It's a mechanical universe. It's cause and effect. Even if there was something outside of cause and effect, then you'd have to say what? Angels? I mean, what would it possibly be? It wouldn't make a free will. It would just make a will being controlled by angels and demons. I mean, if that's the universe you think is possible. I mean, Piro made a video where he just made that one silly line. He was making a video to, I guess, I don't know who it was, Barkload or something. It said it's garbage. He deleted it. It was garbage. But he's talking as if this solipsism thing is some sort of real concept, that they're an actual rational person actually waste neurons, not in a fantasy, like not for masturbating purposes or something, but in some serious manner. They think, what if everybody else is a synthetic robot and I'm in a matrix and I'm being completely fooled and they're all fake things and they don't have consciousnesses and feelings and only I do. I mean, what kind of retard gives that more than 7 seconds worth of consideration and just says, too fucking silly an idea? I mean, no, I'm not that special. That something would synthesize an entire universe to fool me. I mean, it's just so fucking silly. And so it's beyond reasonable consideration. It's reasonable as something you fondle in some kind of perverse way, but it's not science or logic or reasonable to sit there and worry about that kind of mush. It's a kind of Horton Hears a Who thing, okay? It's fun to watch a little movie where little people live inside of dust specks, but you don't sit there and say, well, what if that's real? You don't do that. You don't waste any time providing for the what's my backup plan in case there are Hoobies. You just don't do it. Well, it's over 1K subs now. Well done. That's not well done. Because they're all idiots. Hello, do you have any books that you'd recommend on physics and science? Yeah, unfortunately, no, because it's just so bad. Really, I mean, I didn't even think how bad it was when I got into this. It was just about a little bit of the quantum mechanics, but the more you hear about it, the whole edifice is shit. And you can see every single time they're stuck with a problem, they come up with some wacky, silly solution. So I was thinking about the whole electron thing the other day, and the fact that they just made up this wavelength for electrons, the de Broglie thing, where electrons now, depending on how fast they're going, we call it a frequency. And we've turned electrons that have no wave properties at all, unless you shoot them with a frequency, into something that has an automatic frequency. So apparently if you shoot electrons fast enough and you do it at a pulsed rate, they have 2 frequencies. I mean, it's just so fucking bad. So yes, no books. I wish I could. I mean, read books that aren't about physics, ones that are on some other subject, and just glance at the subject like, well, yes, the earth goes around the sun, that kind of stuff is pretty solid. But yeah, don't read any modern books, I guess. Let's see, there are layers upon layers, no there aren't, of importance in your work. Now there's not, it's one layer. Pick one, this channel or the other. It's pure hardcore logic. Well, this is true, but whatever. Let's see, so Wizoid. Absolute determinism doesn't make sense to me, to be honest. Yeah, well, I don't know how it misses making sense. Cause and effect. So you just said cause and effect doesn't make sense to me. All right. We don't know that the first cause, we don't know the first cause. Well, who cares? We know it was stupid, like all the other causes. The first cause of the first, amino acid, the first cause of the first, connection of those chemicals with each other. We know that's not a sophisticated and a complex thing. It's a stupid rudimentary function. So the universe has a function. Big deal. You're saying it makes sense to consider nothing as, you're going. It's a trap either way. But I'm just saying you can consider it all error code if you want. Just imagine a universe of nothing going forever, and whoops, it wasn't perfect after all. There was a flaw in the fabric, and a little burp of crap popped out of it. That's called us. And we don't know the microcosm so well. Well, again, we know enough about it to know that it's not guided by any creator. So what's your alternative? An uncreated creator? I mean, this whole problem of saying, well, I don't have an explanation for the first cause. Well, what do you think the first cause is going to be? God? For fuck's sake. Hey, you're chatting too much. You chat too much, it goes too fast, and I can't read your shit. So don't do that. Be polite and don't waste time with rubbish. Yeah. Heck is I have to make this window bigger. Let me see. I think I can make it a pop out thing or something. Let's see. Where's the old pop out window? Pop out chat. Where is the fucking option to pop the chat out? Oh, here. Little dots. I hate this little dot shit. Let's see. Pop out. Yeah, there we go. All right. Now we're. That's better. Now I can keep up. All right. So where the hell was I anyway? Let's see, I want to hear you out. Absolute determinism, microcosm. So it's consciousness. Oh, shit. So, well, is consciousness part of this mechanical process? Yes, it's an illusion taking place in a brain that can create it, synthesize it. It's like you could have a projector that could make a hologram, for example. Now, you can imagine a projector that could do that someday. Well, it's the same thing. Our brain projects a very complex thing out of this electricity, which is it makes a screen and it makes us into a viewer, and we're watching this screen that it created that has sensation in it. And it's all an illusion, but it's one hell of a manufactured illusion. But yes, it's just a mechanical function. You could take away 90% of my brain in terms of all my memories and all this other crap that wouldn't be relevant, and you'd still have an entity that can feel good or feel bad. So the little tiny amount of our brain is actually doing consciousness. All right, anyway, yes, consciousness. I don't want to do consciousness. I shouldn't even answer this question because I really don't want to do that. I can do that on different other places. This is about draft physics. I put physics in the title, I think, on purpose, didn't I? Yes, talking physics. That's what it says, physics. This is meta. Woo. What stops the force bit? There we go. Now we got somebody playing right. What stops the force bits from, oh dear, dissipating out of the wider void? What the fuck does that mean of the universe? Let's just say the universe is like a soap bubble. So all the energy that goes to the end of the universe in the form of photons or something of a frequency, any of that kind of stuff, it hits the end of the bubble and it reflects back as just the simple tons again. They're not at a frequency anymore. Something like that. it just reflects the energy back. So the energy is always going back and forth, and it just messes with the physical things while it's going back and forth. Something like that. And let's see, like compressed air suddenly released in a vacuum of space. Well, let's understand there's nothing suddenly happening in the universe. So that's another point to make. If there was a big bang, there would be like smoke rings of force or intensity. So when something explodes, there's a layer that's really intense, but it has the, it's the beginning layer, and that's much more intense than the back, the trailing end. And that intense layer, it could take 50 billion years for all the energy to dissipate before the ring expands and disappears. So we're still in the active smoke ring, and the whole universe could dissipate into nothing, like a smoke ring vanishing. So there's different ways of explaining the circumstance, but I'm not glued to either one. I don't have to be glued to a big bang or a constant universe. Either theory is fine with me. It's really not the part of physics, I think, that's the important part, which is unifying the forces. It's more important than, again, everybody always wants source information, and it just, the source isn't the story. The message isn't the messenger. All right. Let's see. If it is a mechanical process, then every thought is a result of something else. Of course, every thought's a result of you combining every previous conversation you've had in your life. Fred Flintstone is in my head. Marsha Brady's in my head. Well, more Jan than Marsha. There's all kinds of shit in my head, and all of that shit is mixed together based on pattern recognition. I'm going to do a video on pattern recognition, but I mean, it's all pattern recognition. And the smart brain knows how to seize patterns, and it puts those things in clumps. And that's what the creative process is. All right. So let's see. The mechanical process, then every thought is real, something else. Yes. Who is to sexy blonde speaking? Yes, it's me. That's who it is. And question mark. I don't know. Don't do that. That's wasting my time. And I don't know what that means. So fuck you. Is that an issue? I don't know what that means. I'm. There's no way I can. I'm supposed to sit there and go back and say, what was his fucking? Yes, consciousness is a mechanical process. Yes, I explained it. And whatever. Fuck you. I'm sorry. That's a waste of my time. I don't know what that means. What's the point of thinking if you are not even a person, but only a process computing math? Well, frankly, I mean, if you think us sitting here doing it is the same thing as looking at it already done, all right? I mean, we're not examining a soda machine. We're being a soda machine, all right? So being one is, you've got to admit, fucking interesting. I don't know what's going to happen 10 minutes from now. I don't know what's going to happen an hour from now. I don't know what kind of airplane could hit my house. All kinds of shit can happen. So there's a bit of an adventure taking place when you're not just reading it in a book or examining the blueprint. Okay, yes, if I examine the blueprint of my life, I can find all the little events that made me a neurotic kook. And I can find all the things that fucked me up and blah, 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 blah. And that's far less interesting, in my opinion, than actually being here now saying, what do I do with what I've learned? What do I do with all the crap that has affected me and all the lessons learned? Like, well, don't go crazy and don't get all, don't get caught up in hate and don't get and all the little rules I've learned. It's a lot more interesting sitting here living with all of that information than it is analyzing where each bit of information came from. I mean, come on. So fuck you. I wouldn't impose life on anything ever, but I'm saying to say you're bored or you find your life uninteresting, then you're doing it fucking wrong. Because fuck, there's nothing to be bored about. Penis. No boredom allowed. What do you honk about statistical mechanics? What is that? What do you honk about statistical mechanics? What the fuck does that mean? Oh, what do I think? Oh, those two words aren't even close. Honk and think? That's not even close. statistical. Statistics are fun, but again, there's nothing. I can give you all the cliches about there's nothing more fucking rapey than fucking statistics. Statistics are always raping people. I mean, it's fine. I like statistics are really good for compiling evidence, and they're can be incredibly useful. They could also be incredibly abused. So I don't know what statistical mechanics is, but clearly if it's this idea we're just going to synthesize reality, fuck that. You got to do a little better. Why doesn't force interact with force? Because I'm sort of arguing now that they may interact with force, but you can't tell because only the black bits are interacting with the black bits. And if they interact, you can't see it. Okay, I mean, I've drawn it 4 million times, but if these two pens were black, right, you couldn't see this. So the two universes hitting each other and missing each other would look exactly the same. And so the argument is the red bits are traveling on a different plane of the universe. See, they're missing each other all the time. The black ones are on the black squares, the red ones are on the red squares. So they can't hit each other unless they hit a matter bit. Matter bits allow the red bits to actually hit the black bits. So that's the simple explanation. I could provide more, but I don't even think more is necessary because I don't think it's very important to have to explain the fundamental rules when you only have 4 of them. I'm only asking you to accept 4 rules, and I think there's really only like 2. But anyway, I'm only asking you to accept 4 simple little rules. I'm not asking you to do bent space, Heisenberg, Huygens. I mean, I could go down to Broglie. I could go down the list of the 5 million rules regular physics is asking you to accept. So come on, 4 rules. All right. I believe the universe and its events is deterministic, but consciousness is unique. Oh, whatever. Of course it's unique, but that doesn't make it special. Sorry, unique doesn't mean special. Yes, there's only one event of consciousness as far as any reasonable assertion would be, because obviously the universe could be incredibly old and there would be consciousnesses all over the place that were much more advanced than ours and they'd be making a lot more noise than we do. And so there's no evidence of that. So clearly this is it, consciousness here on Earth. But unique doesn't mean anything. And you actually have the ability to make choice. Well, I think that's just made up woo, so take your religion someplace else. That's what makes people like Gary better than others. So it's just absolutely silly. What makes me better is I've obviously had a better stream of events happen to me. And so that's why I'm better. I don't trying to call me now, but whatever. They just say something and they just can't, I'm not going to block you, but really, I've told you, I don't want to do determinism. I've already done it 5 million times on the Amendum channel. If you don't believe in it, fine. Okay, you believe in God. You believe in the non-existent choice maker. Fine. I just say, fuck you. You're a religious kook. You're inconsolably retarded. That's it. All right, so that's it. I got nothing else to say on this subject. I'm sorry, you're stupid. What do you want me to say? You're delusional. You're making a huge mechanical, logical mistake in finding any facts to defend your I magically make choices. I don't magically play the piano. I don't magically spell right when I actually spell right. I don't magically do anything. Sorry. There's no evidence of magic. There's just magic of evidence of completely flawed and very imperfect human beings, not perfect ones. So, and not infinitely inspired ones, and they all have limited amounts of creativity. You see it. Songwriters, a lot of them run out of juice. 5 years, they're done. They can't write a song worth shit. I mean, some of the greatest songwriters in the history of mankind, like the guy with the Starry, Starry Night and everything. He's been alive the last 30 years, hasn't done a fucking thing worth noting. Creativity just, it's here, and all of a sudden it's gone. Because it's made out of something, and you just run out of ingredient. So you're saying that the universe is the same sort of boundary that, I'm not saying it. I'm saying there's lots of possible explanations. I'm just giving you one possible explanation. It's just one. That keeps the force bits from dispersing out of into infinity. No, I'm saying I don't like the whole fucking idiotic subject of creation or whatever the opposite word for creation is. I don't give a shit about origins and eventual destructions. I'm saying the universe we exist in right now is full of this force stuff, and for the foreseeable future, it's going to have an impact. Now, maybe over the next 10,000 years, gravity will diminish a little tiny bit and be a little tiny bit weaker, and we'll get a little 20,000 years, get a little weaker. Maybe. I don't care. There's no the subject isn't fertile. Okay, there's no bones to dig up. There's very little chance you're ever going to have the evidence to ever have an understanding of what the truth is, because you can't tell it from all the other dopey theories. It will forever remain ignorant, as you know, sort of like the ancients when it came to inventing their gods. They really didn't have the choice of evolution because there just wasn't available evidence. So all they had the choice between was a lot of bad ideas. And that's all I can do, is I can just speculate about what it could be. But I can't say that anything, you know, beyond the fact that I believe cause and effect is a consistent mechanism in the universe. Beyond that, I can't tell you how the universe got in this current condition. And I think every asshole physicist who plays the game like they have the answer to those questions demonstrates they have no answer, because they create theories where, well, it did this, and then did this, and then expanded to this big all at once in 1/2 a millisecond. And then it went a little bigger, then a little bigger. I mean, they just make up silly shit. And you're saying, that's just silly. You know, punctuated explosionism. I mean, it's, you know, you're just like, no, you didn't just say that, did you? I just invented it, actually. But I'm sure there's a physicist somewhere who actually thinks the theory of punctuated explosionism. He just doesn't call it that, but that's what it is. It's just stupid. All right, anyway. Disappearing into an infinity. Physicists say the universe is expanding and accelerating. Does, ... Yeah, they say a lot of crap, and it's all based on a tiny amount of evidence. So they're just basing that expansion on redshift and their assumptions on how redshift is formed. Now, they don't even know what happens when something moves perpendicular to you, okay, in space at very high speed. We can't test it. See, we can only do stupid sound experiments, and that's a medium. Light isn't traveling through a medium. So actually, you might get redshift when something moves perpendicular to you. And so that might be giving them the illusion that the universe is doing a whole bunch of moving away from us, when no, it's just moving perpendicular to us. That one simple fact could blow up the entire expansion theory, if that's true. So I'm just saying that's how thin the evidence is insanely thin. I mean, I keep stressing this, how physics is such a horrible science now. The last great physicist was Isaac Newton, because they're all jumping way ahead of the evidence, way ahead. Newton was so careful not to jump ahead of his evidence, and they're just jumping so far ahead of their evidence. Tiny bit of evidence, gigantic explanation, you know, gigantic paradigm shift in reasoning based on tiny assumptions. All right. Let's see. I believe I work. Let's see. What makes people like Gary? What was this thing? I work with Venture Capital Group. How the hell did you get in here? In a lab, if you can create an anti-gravity machine. I didn't see that before. How'd that get in here? Yeah, okay, fine. What do I have to guarantee I can make a gravity machine? If you want to finance me, that's cool. I'll try to make an anti-gravity machine. But if I don't make one, I have to give you the money back or something. Well, that ain't gonna happen. So yeah, you don't really want to do venture capitalism. You want to do something else. I take the chances, and you just have the money. Oh, well, that sounds like shit capitalism. Universe is expanding, accelerating. Okay, so obviously it's not expanding and it's not accelerating. These are all based on wrong assumptions. So, and very, very fragile assumptions. Assumptions they should know are very thin. like the evidence for dark matter. Very thin evidence, very grand and bold statements. What's your alternative explanation for the interference? Oh, here we go. I've got them on the question videos, for fuck's sake. I'm asking you people questions. Produced when electrons are passed through the graphite thing. This is another bizarre thing. People find these stupid scientific articles based on these preposterously complex experiments performed. So this guy's talking about graphene microtubules, and he wants me to explain their observations in these bizarre, insanely bizarre and technical experiments, when he won't answer my questions regarding the simplest experiment you could do, just passing a laser beam through an opening. Why don't you first explain to me why, with photons, the pattern doesn't graduate properly? It isn't a gradually light and dark pattern. Why don't you explain that first? Excuse my French, but shit. I mean, really, he wants me to spend at least, 4 or 5 days to figure out what polycycline graphene is. And this is the new fun word, is this whole graphene. I guess it's graphite. They think it's going to, change the universe. It's another game changer. No. Anyway, so this means the force should be weakening over time. Yes, and we don't get to stay here long enough to measure the time. So maybe somebody a million years from now will have enough of a time scale to say, look, we have readings from a million years ago. But we don't have any of that. So this means forces should be weakening over time, since the number of force bits in the universe is consistent, presumably. Yes, but right now there's a ton of it. And so a ton minus a pound doesn't equal much, right? So the amount escaping is a tiny fraction of the total mass of it. So again, like a smoke ring, if I slow the smoke ring down, the smoke ring from a can, let's say, progresses, okay, for whatever, 10 seconds. If I slowed that down to 10 years, and I slowed it down to 10,000 years, frame by frame, I'm just saying that's the perspective you have to have here. Recognize that what you think is on a universal scale, the motion is so slow that you're not going to see it from our perspective, because we're moving very fast. All right, let's see. Again, a subject that just has nothing to do. I mean, I'm disputing Einstein's relativity and I'm disputing quantum mechanics. I've clearly got them both on hooks. I've got them, just as near gutted and dead as could be. That's the fucking subject. I've unified physics. This crap doesn't have anything to do with unifying physics. Explanations of causes and extermination has nothing to do with the subject of physics in any real sense. Einstein was never told you have to explain origins. Anyway, a bit is the fundamental, so it equals matter. It doesn't have to, but yes, I think it probably does. Somehow the force bits were converted into matter bits, and the matter bits now convert force bits, and let the reds and the blacks mix. Light is bits, yes. How does light become matter? Light doesn't become matter. Light is bits at a frequency. But obviously that gets trapped inside of matter between the electrons. So you obviously haven't watched my videos, right? So I make the 800 videos for no reason, because I have to explain it to you in a live room from the very beginning. Well, I can't do that. So watch either the overview videos or the start here videos, and they'll explain the force. The second start here video, video 2, goes into the whole thing about light being trapped between electrons. Not complicated. A bit is the fundamental. What is consciousness? So again, you should just keep doing it. I told you, no more consciousness shit. What has consciousness to do with being special? Consciousness grants you the ability to make choice. It doesn't. You're not making choices. You're just combining past information with present information constantly. You take the past, you throw it up, then you throw up on it again in the present, then you eat the throw up, okay? And you throw it back up, and then you throw up in it, and then you throw it back in. I mean, you're just mixing puke. Puke from the past with puke from the present. That's what the brain does. It's called it's like feedback, okay? But it's just puking into puke. Sorry, see, my brain is so mechanical that I'm getting irritated because you're not on the fucking subject. And that connects to my brain to things that irritate me, like puking or something. And so now I'm combining puking and conversation with you because you're being a puke. All right, okay. So anyway, I won't read the rest of that because it's scrolling. Stop typing, Puro. Stop it. Everybody, control your impulses. Type more in less space. I'll block you. So use up too much typing, make things scroll too fast, and I'll block you. Because I have to read this puke. I have to catch up. Anyway, okay, all right, no concept. What would you recommend someone who wanted to educate themselves on physics? Again, just read the basic books, okay? Go back to read books like high school books from 1970 or 60 or something, and you get a basic mechanical idea. And then you just do the obvious thing I did. When they start talking about photons waving in two fields, you just say, fuck you, that's stupid. All right, so you just have to ignore the wacky parts. When they start talking Heisenberg, like photon doesn't know where it is and it gets confused and then it interferes with a copy of itself. You say, oh, fuck that, stupid. Got to be a better reason. But, that's all I did. There was only a couple of stupid things. Physics didn't say like everything they said wasn't stupid. But now they got now they keep, since I was a kid, they've made like 100 extra stupid, wacky particles that are now supposed to be players in the system somehow. Positrons and all these anti-things. And it's all made up shit. They play no real functional role. It's all crap. Higgs boson bullshit. They just keep making new fields, new entities. I mean, it's just silly. All right, anyway, where was I? Let's see. Okay, for example, you can choose between having or not having kids. Calling it a choice is stupid. You will decide, and you decide based on reasoning. Just like if I were a piano player, you decide what key to hit based on a logical process inside your fucking brain, a memory. All right, a mechanical process. You are not making anything called a choice where you sits there and goes, I'm going to choose the right thing. No, a program inside of you runs, and another program says, well, okay, that seems like the right. See, one program says, I think the right answer is hit that key. And then another program says, well, I can't disagree. And then another program says, well, I can't disagree either. And then you hit the fucking key because nothing else disagrees. But that's how you make choices. You don't really choose anything. You just choose not to inhibit your program that says, I know what I'm doing. A program stands up and says, I know what I'm doing. Trust me on this. I know how to drive trains. And the rest of the programs, like the program for pulling on your wiener and the program for wiping your ass and all the other programs, don't bother objecting. They say, yes, you probably can drive trains better than me because I don't know shit about driving trains. I just know about wiping asses. Anyway, I mean, I can't say you're stupid for not realizing this, but I'm just saying that if you think it all through, that's the end product. You're just programs, for fuck's sake. You're not choice makers. All right, where was I? So you're saying the universe is a boundary above? No, I already did that a long time ago. Did that a long time ago. Where the hell was I? Let's see. For example, you can choose. Okay, if you choose right, even without informations. Well, I don't know what you're saying, but fuck you. You don't choose. Pyro. I would recommend not believing anything Eminem says about physics as a start. Yeah, well, you're so fucking lame. I made a video pointing out 3 problems in your physics. Why don't you explain those problems, douche? You fucking asswipe. You come into somebody's chat and type crap like that, you fucking rude cunt. Fuck you. All right. Hey, Gary. That's not very useful. Thanks for responding, Gary. Has the computer situation improved? Well, I did get sent a better computer, but it's Linux, and it really couldn't care less. So it's just their the system the system used to access the ports, the USB and the sound card specifically, and the drivers associated with them, just aren't very what's the word they use? Substantial. They're not really well made, and so they don't have any functions that apparently are built into like Windows, where it does some cancellation of the extreme fluctuations in the sound and well, but anyway, so there's still distortion in Linux. Then Linux hasn't cleaned the distortion out of a basic mic function. That's really the only major problem. I mean, clearly I could use a better video card. I could use a lot of better things, but it's working okay now. I'm just using I have to use just one mic, and I'm going to see about some of these Chinese, you can buy a whole sound card on a USB that you just plug in, and some of those actually aren't bad for just doing voice. So one of those might actually work, where Linux actually recognizes it properly. I mean, I have a really fancy sound card. It's 15 years old, but it was a $200 sound card when it was new, and Linux hates it. Anyway, thanks for responding, Gary. Oh, sorry. I didn't claim that, but regarding physics, what is the non-false example? I didn't claim that, but regarding physics, what is a non-false example? What the fuck? So you go off YouTube for 6 months to what? Learn how to speak Chinese, and now you forgot how to speak English? I didn't claim that, but regarding physics, what is a non-false example? What the fuck does that mean? What the fuck is that? Who talks like that? If I walked up to somebody, I go, regarding your hat, what is a non-false example? Do photons actually get trapped between electrons? Yes. From what I've studied, electrons acquire their energy from and become more unstable and are able to release that same energy to become more stable again. But that stability is based on an orbit in the traditional notion. The electron changes its position. Well, if you understand the electrons to be magnetic, which they are, they're charged bodies, then maybe you could understand that if I have 4 electrons at a distance and there's repulsive force between them, and I put them at a tighter distance, you could maybe understand that the repulsive force will now be twice as intense because it's reflecting more often. So as a simple, this should work. I have to get one of them whiteboardy things when I get rich. All right, you should be able to see that. So when the electrons are far apart, the force is a high frequency, slow, bing, 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 bing. When they're closer together, bing, 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 bing. So this is blue light, bing, 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 bing. This is red light, boom, 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 boom. Really simple. The force isn't inside of an electron. The force is bouncing between the electrons. It's just so obviously the right answer. Damn it. Uh-oh, where'd my chatty thing go? Done that, Gary. Now your chatty thing is gone. Oh dear, now what do I do? I'm doomed. Doomed. Nothing to see here. We popped out. Well, where the hell is the fucking pop out? What did they do with it? Oh, there it is. Okay. Do 5 times I get trapped? Yes. Ha 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 ha. I don't. That's not very useful. So I'm still way behind. Damn it. You think antimatter is made up? Yes. There's no such thing as antimatter. Susskind even says it, for fuck's sake. I mean, the whole concept of anti is stupid. They do not annihilate. It's really a fucking, there's a hole when something leaves, and the hole still exists, and then something else can fall into the hole. But there's no anti. There's just things going into other things, the position they left behind. I mean, it's just so fucking stupid. But yes, antimatter is retarded. It's childish. It's so infantilely retarded. It's insanely unevidenced. It's just absolute fucking, it's as nonsensical as dark matter. It has no basis in reality or fact or evidence. None. No evidence. Have you seen the evidence of, have you seen the antimatter collision? No, because they're just imagining them based on 5 million steps from that point. I mean, it's just like saying, it's like to say, me going back in time 500 years ago and telling one of Trump's ancestors, "Oh yeah, you're gonna you're gonna have a super really smart great grandson instead of a psychotic lunatic." You'd just be lying. Anyway, dopamine robots, not interesting. Every program has a programmer. Oh, it's just stupid. So again, the programs built into the knee jerk. What was the programmer that built the knee jerk program? I mean, fuck you. Okay, I'll just delete you now. I asked you to quit talking this shit, so you're just going to be blocked. Fuck it. You just don't want to get off the fucking retarded, stupid, idiotic, crappy subject. Hide user, put user in timeout. Yeah, do something. Get rid of the fucking idiot. Ugh, stupid fuck. Let's see. Carpet gets it, lol, but not every program is made by an intelligent process, whatever that is. It's only theory. Holy shit, you're just a creationist. Get out of here. Whatever. Faith. Well, at least it's English. Let's see what she typed. I am viewing the Einstein wrong. Well, who cares? I note he gave you the link out for free. It doesn't have anything to do with physics, okay? The whole fucking documentary is a self-indulgent personal story about having a retarded daughter or something and his mother realizing that physics is complicated. But look, he says something bold, Einstein wrong, and he doesn't prove it. He just implies it. Oh, just useless. I mean, it's a nice little whatever thing, but it has nothing to do with science. you know, very little science. Big on a lot of bold talk by old people, very old people. You ought to call it like, you know, Einstein, not as, um, you know, luckily never had dementia, so you could title it that. Unlike the rest of the old farts on Earth. I just asked the question about the de Broglie so I could further understand your hypothesis. Sorry if it came across the wrong way. I don't know. I brought up de Broglie, but I mean, it's a silly notion that you ought to automatically give something a frequency, a pattern, um, merely because you want to squash it into your interference mush. Gary, you don't seem to realize the communicators talk to each other. I don't care. I am not doing this for this chat box to be your excuse to massage each other's anuses. Not why I'm making the video. So if you want to do that, there's lots of places on the internet where you can go typey to each other and say all kinds of little perversions to each other. So I'm not here for you, asshole. I'm really not. Okay? I'm here because you're all deluded motherfuckers and your delusions, the million of them, are catastrophic to the welfare of sentient creatures. That's why I'm making these videos. My comment was to another commenter. So somebody who asked about books to read, you told them don't listen to Gary's videos. Oh, okay. Yeah, your comment was as irrelevant as most of your comments are. So brilliant. At least you're consistently stupid. He's correct, was me. Deleted the previous comment. Sorry about that. What that means either, but good. Deleting videos is probably a good idea. I mean, deleting comments that are this bad. Anyway, antimatter evidence. So here we go. Welp, there should be more mass than what we see here. Why should there be more mass? Because of another assumption. Because they don't understand that galaxies aren't solar systems and therefore think galaxies have the same gravitational circumstance. That is, 99% of the solar system's mass is in the middle. Galaxies, the mass is spread out. 99% isn't in the middle. So they can't even do it, even if they wanted to calculate the gravitational movement of the galaxy. They couldn't even do it anyway because there's so many moving bits. pulling on each other in opposite directions. And so they think the speed is wrong. And then now they think they have to invent more matter in the galaxy because somehow the speed is wrong. It's a silly connect the dots. It's again jumping way beyond the evidence. There's no evidence that there's a catastrophic flaw in the speed of the suns in galaxies. It's just a curious difference, not a catastrophic flaw. You don't need to blow up whole theories and create new gravity in the universe to solve the problem. Anyway, here, most must be some dark thing because we don't detect it. Again, there's no must. It's just such crap. You can't even, they can't even get their lensing math correct. If 90% of the universe is dark matter, then why don't they see lensing in totally insane places? Because now they have dark matter, so they don't have to worry about any kind of rules. Which I was going to bring up in this video, the fact that the lens is actually the wrong direction in a gravitational lens. It can't possibly work. I would agree with you on the idea that the concept of dark matter is strictly a fuck. Yes, well, at least, okay, close enough. Dark matter isn't just one idea in science right now, or whatever. There are at least 3 different ideas. Who cares? I'm arguing their lack of a unification theory, and I'm arguing that quantum mechanics is nonsense in the sense that there are no waves. Okay, it's all ray theory, not wave theory. Okay, rays at a frequency, and Einstein's bullshit fucking relativity is nonsense. And I've unified the the 4 physical forces. That's the subject here, idiot. you know, different ideas in mainstream physics about what is causing the phenomenon. What phenomenon again? The fact that that galaxies don't work like solar systems, right? Because you don't understand how they work, because you've misidentified their function. Oh, shit. Only one is invisible matter. What are the other great other answers, Piro? What are these? They have many great answers besides dark matter. They have angel farts, and they have what? Unicorn slippery poo. And the slippery poo makes the suns move faster because it's slippery poo. I mean, this is just such shit. Gary, did your microphone fall over? The volume just decreased tremendously. No. Let me see. Testing. Looks okay in the little green dots. So, might be your problem. Yeah, basically they see galaxies and say we can't explain this with our current model. It's worse than that. They don't even recognize that, holy fuck, there's a trillion stars in this galaxy. How are we going to calculate the gravitational influences? There's too many of them. They don't even admit the starting point, which is, fuck, we can't know what's happening gravitationally in a galaxy, for fuck's sake. Look how much shit is in it. Okay, Piro, which shows you need a new part to your model. I don't need anything. The model is now really 80-90% complete in terms of covering all the basics that I was ever taught in high school physics, certainly. And it covers all the hard evidence experiments. So the only experiments it doesn't cover are the wackiest and the silliest and the most unrepeated ones in the history of science. So fuck you again. Didn't we test Einstein relativity having one atomic clock? Oh, here we go again. The atomic clock thing. I'm not disputing, okay, the relationship between acceleration and or velocity, and the fact that clocks break. That uh, atomic metabolism is disrupted by velocity. That's my point. We're disrupted by velocity, especially velocity in gravity. But even in raw space, if I accelerate you too fast, you physically don't like it. Okay, it's quite uncomfortable. That's because you're physically being changed by acceleration. Acceleration physically changes you. All right, and so the clocks are physically changed by velocity. To acquire velocity, you have to first be accelerated. As the clocks are accelerated, they are broken. They are now infused with this new thing called motion, and the motion takes up space, so to speak, in their substance, and it slows down their processes. So my analogy has been, if I ask you to dance in one place as fast as you can, and then I say, now move left 5 feet an hour, you'll recognize you have to dance slower to be able to move in a direction. There, done. All right. Okay. Okay. So putting them atomic. Okay, it's atomic clock again. You just these people haven't watched any of my videos, obviously. I mean, I have mentioned the atomic clock thing over and over again. The fact that there's nothing. Einstein never proved there's a relationship between time dilation in any sense of space being warped, and the fact that there is a um, time what's the better term, time retardation. It's not dilating, it's just retarded by the thing that's retarding. It's a retarded clock. The clock gets retarded by motion. All right, anyway, the other two I was thinking about is what the hell, mortified Newtonian dynamics. Who cares? Modified. Well, that's very exciting. I'm sure everybody's talked about that, where they just change gravity. And there is a quantum entropy theory. Yeah, well, I'm sure it's all bullshit. So fine, you have bullshit one, bullshit behind both behind bullshit screen number one, or the bullshit box, or the bullshit curtain. Yeah, and it's like, let's make a deal, and it's all shit. They're all going to be goats eating their own fucking fur. Anyway, so atoms are disturbed by acceleration, and this disturbance isn't canceled by deceleration. Of course, it would be, but deceleration undoes your velocity, right? So let's understand. Let's understand. Once the acceleration stops, you still have the energy. Once I put energy in a battery, it has the energy and it stays in the battery, pretty much, right? So the idea is motion gets inside of something as a force, and it stays in there until you drain it out. You decelerate it out. So you're just, I mean, I'm not saying it's a big mistake, but you're obviously using the word deceleration when you really mean maintenance of velocity. No further acceleration. Yes, once the acceleration stops, the force is inside the battery. The force dilates its time by the amount of force it's consumed. The more force it consumes, the more it dilates. The less force, the less it dilates. Can you explain more on velocity and motion, force on atomic structure in relation to, let's say, people on a planet that rotates? Who cares? So the reason why we our planes move in conjunction with the greater spin. I know I don't really want to waste time with all that crap. The atmosphere is a key player in a lot of things. We just move with everything else, okay, that we're in, and you take us out of that, and the world changes a bit because we're getting moved by air pressure, wind, and we have all these sensations. But if you got on the moon or something, you'd realize, oh, yeah, there's just one force, gravity. Doesn't, but the moon's not spinning, so it's not a very good example in that sense. But anyway, spin is just irrelevant to, it's not irrelevant. I don't want to get into it has no, it doesn't impact unification. Let me just put it that way. Spin on giant material bodies doesn't have any meaning to, um, it doesn't change in any substantial way the force dynamics, besides the fact that it changes your absolute velocity. I'll admit I did not watch all of your videos. Sorry about that. Well, you didn't have to watch all of them. I'm just saying that if you watch the overview ones and you watch the start here ones and maybe a couple on the basic subjects, I'll try to put those in playlists. Just saying, you don't have to watch all of them, but you do have to watch the ones where I'm explaining the theory, in as much depth as I can afford to squeak out. Let's see. You are so arrogant, you don't even realize it. No, I'm perfectly proud of it, actually. Um, yeah, frankly, if I went through my whole life of 58 years being wrong all the time, then I'd have reason to say, oh, gee, I always have conclusions and they're wrong. But I'm not one of those kind of people. I'm not one of these people that changes their mind every 10 years and has a new perspective and all that kind of shit. And um, and in everything I've ever done mechanically, I've always been pretty good at it. I mean, almost a magician, you know, at being able to fix things, for example, and stuff, because I always had very good intuitive knowledge of how systems work. And so I often didn't even have to do anything, I just had to, you know, like Fonzie, I just had to walk up to it and insult it sometimes and it started working. So I'm just saying, if I didn't have that as life experience, which is my brain works good, and my experience is other people's brains works like shit, then you could say I'm uh, arrogant without cause. But in my opinion, I'm arrogant for a good cause. I know I'm right about this, okay? I'm just saying physics is so religious and so wacky and so silly a theory. It's just so easy to beat it with actually doing this Darwin thing where you go out into the world and you investigate and you find the facts, and the facts just clearly point to a completely different theory. It's just made out of bullshit. It's just so bad. Uh, you know, the the magic beam splitter. Why don't you go look up beam splitter and then figure out why does it have to be so complicated when a plain piece of glass does the job? Simple things like that are just such a giveaway that physics is way, way past its own competency. It never took science seriously. It was always looking for wooey answers like Pyrrho. Pyrrho was a wooist from the time he was 5 years old. He was looking for wooey spirits in nature. He was looking for his little wooey world to exist, and that's why he went with the wooey physics. My point is, science isn't saying dark matter is a particular thing. Oh, well, yes, they are. They're pretty clear about what it is. It's non baryonic, so it doesn't have any of the normal features of matter, that is, electrons and protons. Can't reflect anything. It can't do anything. It's somehow just made out of Higgsons. Yes. Anyway, science is arguing it is at the moment. Isn't saying, what the fuck? You never make any sense. My point is, science isn't saying dark matter is a particular thing. Science is arguing it out at the moment. Where are they arguing it out at the moment? They've become more and more confident. Every talking head scientist I see is now talking like dark matter is a real thing. We've proven it's demonstrated by 5 million experiments. I've never heard such preposterous nonsense. They're arguing it out. Where? Show me evidence of this argument taking place somewhere. Redshift, moving away from, LOL. Redshift, moving away from, OUL. I don't know what that means. Yes, that's what they think redshift is caused by. Something moves away. Either the receiver moves away or the emitter moves away at the point of creation of the frequency, and that causes the frequency to expand. Once humans reach the limits of their knowledge, they can start building churches. They start building churches. I don't know. That sounds like such absolute crap. We clearly know where churches came from, where God came from. It came from a lack of evidence of anything else. All right, we have evidence now. The question is now is why is the evidence being ignored? Okay, and why is the evidence being preposterously they're creating insane springboards out of tiny pieces of evidence. So are these theories like dark matter and the rest cathedrals for believers. Now this is something different. These are they're not cathedrals. They're totem poles to hide behind from boogeymen. The boogeyman of determinism is coming for you. So hide behind the Huygens and the Higgins and the Heisenbergers and all the rest of this shit. So it's a place to hide from a universe that screams you're just a dumb biological robot, and it makes you a lot worse than a regular robot because you eat and shit, which really sucks. Your explanation makes too much sense. They'll try. I try to study your videos. How can so many physicists be bamboozling us? Well, yeah, well, people just aren't as look. It's always this is the basic truth. It's not how much you know; it's how much crap you don't believe in. So it's garbage in, garbage out kind of thing. The real game to being smart is avoid making a mistake. Any mistake in your knowledge base can be catastrophic. So the real thing is about the purity of what you know, not the amount of what you know. So this is the kind of thing you should quote from me. It's not about the purity of your knowledge. I mean, the volume of your knowledge. It's about the purity of it. And that's where the scientists make the big mistake. They have a huge amount of book learning, a huge volume of information, but so much of it is absolute shit. And it just breaks their capacity to do logic. They believe in, well, oh, let's just call it particle wave duality. And there, that'll be an answer, kind of. That was okay with them, see? Because they already lived with tons of contradictions in their head. Oh, I love my wife, but I love fucking that hooker so much more. They're full of contradictions, and so they think contradiction is a good thing. They think it's a rational thing, when no, it's obviously evidence of a problem. And modern physics has no idea that contradiction is evidence of a problem. That's stupid. All right. Let's see. Redshift is a good. Your explanation made okay. Selling woo woo. Yes. Um. Oh, well, he asked me a question. Oh dear, I didn't think. Try to study your videos. How can so many? Oh, okay. Well, I answered that. Redshift is a good evidence for the expansion of the universe. Well, I'm saying it's not good evidence. It's really poor evidence. And I've explained one thing to you. Do you know the redshift or blue shift of something moving perpendicular? Do you know the mechanics of how photons are created? And the fact is that that motion could cause red or blue shift, along with the cosmic microwave background. So again, how so? How does the cosmic microwave background evidence of anything when it had to go through the giant expansion, which doesn't even make sense? So the universe expanded, but the cosmic background radiation didn't expand for some dopey reason. Yeah, I mean, the whole thing doesn't make any sense. Show me one real picture taken from space, please, Gary. Oh, I'm just deleting you. Okay, sorry, you're just too silly. Little truther cooker. So fuck you. Ugh, just disgusting. I mean, I would literally, if I could pass a law that just says you shoot truthers on sight. They're just too stupid to be allowed to walk free. Some idiot who doesn't think the 9 billion pictures that we have from space and of space aren't real. They just have to be shot. Well, I guess they assume dark matter isn't made with regular stuff because we'd observe the regular stuff. Yeah, well, the whole point is it has nothing can reflect off of dark matter. That's why it's invisible. You can't reflect any force off of it. So no electrons, no protons. Yes, anything that could reflect energy can't exist in dark matter. I was listening to Antimatter shit the other day, and came to the conclusion that life is worth it because suffering is actually pleasure. We have it wrong the whole time. I guess you're being funny and useless on this channel, so I will reward that with a timeout. Yes. Not relevant to the subject of this channel. Oh boy, let's put nails in his eyes, I guess. I don't want to do that either, but whatever. Pleasure is the objective good in the universe, and misery is the absence of pleasure. Yeah, well, that's just more silliness, but that's just so overtly stupid in terms of how the universe works. That's so Piro's saying push is a consequence of pulling instead of getting the right answer, which is no, pulling is just another way of pushing. So again, backwards as usual. Dumb motherfucker. So fucking, he's this fucking programmer. He's too stupid to figure out that programs like his will programs, that obviously you could acquire a program that would be like a virus checker, and so it's just going to look for flaws in what you're thinking, and so you have this idea comes to you. Why don't I check and see if my ideas are smart before I say them? And so then you try to do that. And you say, okay, I want to talk about that, and that's safe because I got my facts. I got my facts. So you have some kind of little fact checker program, right? And then you say, and then you go on a date with a girl, and she's really impressed that you don't say stupid things like diddly dotty doo 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 poo poo poo, and she's really impressed, but she didn't make any huge mistakes. And then you say, hey, yeah, that program worked out really well, so I'm going to keep running that program. And that's all your will is. But he's too stupid to figure that out. Earth is flat, so I don't need that guy either. That's funny. Ha 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 ha! Ah, ooh, that was really funny. Not even close. Good. Faye didn't bother leaving here. Look, Faye, this physics channel isn't for you. Okay, I'm not into conversation. I'm not. I don't want to do hieroglyphics. You go talk to the mystic and Piro. Let them be your friends. I'm frankly, I'm just not interested. I'm working here. I start my physics major this summer. Good luck with that. It'll be interesting. Well, if you watch some of my videos and then go to your physics, I think you're going to recognize that, gee, Gary's answer does sound so much better. What motivates somebody to study physics? Well, it's like what motivates somebody to play chess. Um, you know, Message rejected. I didn't. Oh, retracted. Okay, sorry. Again, my eyesight is not quite. It's not what it was 10 years ago. I'm trying to force my eyes not to go bad, but they're trying to go bad on me anyway. Hey, I caught up. Cool. So now I can have a cigarette. I have a cigarette. I have to have a vapor cigarette. I'm poor. Yes, well, I don't think you're going to figure out the universe. I don't think you're going to get good answers. I think it's just a technical challenge. I think it's like any puzzle. Physics is a really unwell constructed puzzle. Like it's like if you're watching kids and we're putting a puzzle together and all the pieces are in all kinds of wrong places. Physics has that written all over it, and you're just like, oh, I think I can do this. And you're just driven to do it because you're saying it's wrong. There's got to be a right answer, and physics just sort of screams that. Yeah, well, everything is for some people like me. I was always pleased by being helpful and useful, so I became a fixer. Even as a little kid, people would call me. They had a snapping turtle in their house. They'd call Gary. Whatever, if it was a bug related or snake related or critter related, they called Gary because Gary could fix it. And I like that. I like being able to fix things. So that's what it's about. It's not so much the pursuit of pleasure. It's just the fact that if you have the psychology, it's like if you like to eat chocolate, you don't like to eat chocolate. You know what I'm saying? So if you have you derive pleasure from doing things like solving puzzles, then you'll be a puzzle solver. Yeah, it'll get you off. Yeah, I used to wrestle snapping turtles as a kid. Yeah, it's a turtle wrestler. Oh, quantum biology, completely made up. Not a single shred of evidence that you need any quantum crap. It's just completely made up. It's like Ken Wheeler. Ken Wheeler's saying now that he proved that light is bent by magnetism, the Earth's magnetism, and that's what makes birds fly in the right direction. Is they see the redshift in the sky. Now they've proved like 10 years ago they found magnetite inside the brains of pigeons. I mean, there's magnets inside their brain. But no, let's ignore that and pretend they're doing it based on what color the sky is. Amazing shit. Quantum biology. So fucking idiotic. How can figuring out the universe with physics contribute to the end of the DNA molecule on planet Earth? The only beauty is the end, not figuring out how it all works. Again, it's not about figuring out how it all works. It's about any pursuit of truth is worthy. So if you don't think the truth that life sucks isn't just as valuable as all the other things that are true, the truth should win. I'm fighting for another truth, asshole. You don't have to be here. Just fuck off. You don't like the conversation? Fuck off. Go to the other channel. I don't need your fucking little whiny bullshit that I have to do what you say with my life. I can only solve the puzzles you say I'm allowed to solve. Fuck you. I'm not your slave. I'm stuck on my physics homework. Oh, well, yeah, it's math. There is no homework that isn't physics. Is just math now. They've turned it all into math. It doesn't seem to have anything physical in it at all. It's about Stokes equations, yeah, or whatever. They're all fucking just convoluted. I hate the whole way they turn all these things into symbols. They should have to actually put actual preface things into things. They call things constants that aren't constant, you know, like G in the big G in Newton's gravity. It's just it's a placeholder for a volume designation. It's not a constant of the universe. It's depending on what you could make it into anything. You didn't have to make it into newtons. So it could be any number depending on whether you use millimeters, centimeters, meters, the number changes. Do you anything about it? I don't know what that means. I hate people mix up bullshit with quantum physics nowadays and make con books out of it. Yeah, well, quantum physics and emotions, well, whatever. It's obviously just a religion. Nope, it's pretty clear. Let's see. Photosynthesis uses QM phenomena. So again, he says it's clear. There's nothing. There is absolutely no. You don't need any duality mechanism. There's nothing. There's no Heisenberg. You don't need any of this bullshit to explain the physical process of photosynthesis. The only point is that some of those processes obviously are nuclear processes, and we don't have any cameras for that. All right, but the idea of conservation of energy in and energy converted into chemical energy is all rock solid, and this just a fucking bullshit, and it's just more of their fucking religious propaganda for them to say we have established it as a truth. We have this substantial evidence for our conclusions. You have nothing. Pretty clear to who? A person who believes in unicorns. Some idiot who sits there and is afraid to say there's no free will, so he says idiotic shit like willpower. Shit. And the quantum power of healing crystals, whatever. Multiverses, BS too. Yeah, it's all BS. Multiverse, Copenhagen, all the interpretations of the two slit experiment are just so far fetched, idiotic. Magical photons turn into whatever, interferons, and then they interfere with each other. I mean, it's just such a crock of shit without a single shred of evidence. Let's see. Are you even trying to get your theory out there anymore? What does that even mean? I go to the trouble. I make response videos. I make comments on other people's videos. Exactly how do I get it out there? The establishment has no interest in re-examining any of their. They are so far up the Pope's ass. They're never going to turn on the Pope. It's still an establishment of mistakes that will double down till kingdom come. Well, whatever. There's no, you say you can predict the future. Fine. I say you can't. I'm going to argue until I'm dead. That's what I'm going to do. Because you lose if you don't argue. So I'm going to argue. If you had the power to make the Yellowstone blow up right down, why are you doing this shit? Would you push the button? This is the physics channel, morbid atheist. I'm really not here to blow up Yellowstone, but of course I would. I'd blow up anything if I could blow it up legally without violating any, you know, pre-signed contracts. You know what? That's why are you even saying this? I don't even understand it. You had the power to make the Yellowstone. I don't even know if there was the Yellowstone. I don't even know what that means. Blow up right now. Would you push the button? I don't know. Maybe you've been drinking. I agree. I'm talking about biologists finding use of some of the odd aspects of chemistry due to chemistry being described by QM. Well, again, it's just not described well by it. So, quantum mechanics is a horrible preface to chemistry, in my opinion. The whole moving model of the atom is stupid, in my opinion. It's got it all wrong. They're obviously charges and they're locked in positions. It's another thing that never made any sense to me in high school, listening to this story about how the electron is doing this figure eight between the two atoms and, and that's holding the atoms together. And I'm saying, how does that hold something together? Most of the time, the electron is moving in a direction that would push the atoms apart. There's very few times, there's almost no time when the electrons are moving in the right direction. They're only doing that on the little tiny inward parts where they'd actually have some ability to pull anything together. So it's a rotten model. A shared electron is literally shared. It's sitting there being pulled on by two protons, and the electron does not go over here. And then this atom just stays here and says, I'll wait for the electron to come back. I'll just sit here and wait for it to come back. No, it wouldn't work with magnets, and therefore it doesn't work as a model. So your position is that wave particle duality is BS, if I understood well. Yes, it's neither. Well, it's certainly it's certainly not a wave. There's no waves anywhere. Okay, even the idea of waves aren't even really waves. But I mean, obviously, the word wave belongs to mediums. And there's no mediums in physics. That's no mediums in atomic physics. There's only mediums in big things that can be stuck to each other. Um, so yes, the wave part is crap. And yes, the material universe is made out of discrete bits of quanta. And I don't care whether you call them particles or bits or flashies or sparkles. It doesn't really matter what they are. It's a discrete thing, and it does very limited physical things. Like a photon moves in a straight line at the speed of light, and that's all it does until it hits an electron. If it does anything different than moving in a straight line, it's because something else made it do it. It didn't do it. Okay. The whole probabilistic model of where an electron is around a nucleus is basically a thing because of our ignorance. Yes, well, look, it was a reasonable guess. You look at a solar system. We saw the solar system first, and we said, well, let's make it a solar system. That works. And and they could make it fit. But I'm just saying the fit is more obviously not a fit anymore once you get into this nuclear physics, because you realize that spinning electrons have way too much momentum. The whole thing doesn't make it loses credulity, if I can use that word, as you start adding all these experiments on top of it and you start realizing what electrons are, which is charge, and what protons are, which is charge, which is essentially the magnetic monopoles. Now, Professor Lewin at MIT says I should get the Nobel Prize if I can find a magnetic monopole. Well, that's exactly what the electron is and the proton. So I should get two for finding the electron and the proton because those are the magnetic monopoles, quite obviously. Because as you said, let's see, the whole probabilistic model of where the electron is around the, yes, okay. Because as you said, if we didn't have tools to observe things without disturbing them in some way or at this scale, yeah, it's just very hard to see this stuff. But I'm saying you can imagine a magnetic model. So imagine I could make magnets on strings so they couldn't really fall into each other. And I could actually create a model of active magnets. You could sort of understand that the magnets would be held in positions if I could stop them from turning. If I could stop magnets from turning. If I could make a big giant electron, you could really understand it, right? If I could make a monopole, if I could actually literally cut a magnet in half and have a north side and a south side, you'd understand that I could put them in physical space where they would all balance each other, the pulling forces. And I could actually construct an atom if I had a big enough monopole. But we don't have a giant electron. So we can't make a monopole. So we're stuck with actual magnets, and magnets will keep flipping on you. And so they fuck up your toy. You can't make a good atomic toy out of a magnet because it's basically a neutron, and you don't have any protons and electrons. You just have neutrons. So you can't make a good model out of neutrons. All right, I agree. I'm thinking about biologists finding use of some odd aspects of chemistry. I don't know what that means. Okay, so he was agreeing with something bizarre. The whole probabilistic model. Where was I here? We're way behind or way ahead. Don't need to observe things right. Okay, so there we go. Oh, so Piro's talking to the other guy. Physicists thought of that idea, but that does not seem to be the case. So now I'm supposed to figure out what he said. So he's saying you're not disturbing tiny things when you try to look at them. The electron has to be spread out to explain how molecules are held together. Exactly, it does not. So that's more just, they just says that kind of shit. Now, what holds atoms together is the fact that they share an electron. That's the only thing that ever holds the two atoms together, is they have to share an electron, or more than one. Period. It's not any more complicated than that. The electron in an atom is like a bubble. So he's going to waste my comment space by just spouting textbook shit without the evidence. So it's just more proclamations from on high. We say, and here's our evidence. Oh, that's right, we don't have any. So it's just the same bullshit. The electron is an atom. The electron in an atom is like a bubble surrounding the nucleus, like a magnetic fluid. I mean, does that make any sense? Like a magnetic fluid? Magnetic fluids, if there were such a thing, are made out of little magnets inside the fluid. So again, more bullshit. It's just like. No, it's nothing like. He's so stupid. It seems. What seems isn't necessarily true, retard. The electron isn't actually spreading out. It's just a description of where it could be. The probabilistic thing, but it doesn't matter. It's not, it's all crap. The only thing the electron is doing is this, it's shuddering because of all the tension in the atoms. All the atoms are heated and all of them are vibrating. Everything in the universe is essentially vibrating. And so is the freaking little electron vibrating. And they're confusing this for this. Yeah, this they're seeing as this. Yeah, it's just bullshit. They can't see, and they're just, like I say, any ghost, as soon as they see something with fur on it, they go, Sasquatch! Sasquatch! Oh, kitty. Okay, it's kitty. Sasquatch! I mean, they just want to see Sasquatch. So all it has to do is be brown and furry, and it's Sasquatch. Let's see, makes more sense to me to call the wave the electron. Amazing crap. I mean, let's just forget the fact that you shoot them in electron guns by putting voltage behind them. They don't have a frequency. They're not waving. Yeah, fuck that. It's just a wavy thing. It's what really there. The particle is just how it looks at some interactions. In 99.999999999999999% of interactions. Yes, that's how it looks. Like a corpuscle, like a piece of momentum, like an asteroid, like a fucking goddamn What's the other thing? Asteroid, one of those cosmic things. What do you call those things? Those ice ball things. What do you call those things? Anyway, a flying glacier. Um, that's how it looks. And if you analyze the experiment that where it doesn't look like that, you can figure out why it is like that actually. You're just being fooled. Somebody turned a push into a pull. And if you really look, you can find the pull. I mean, the push. The magnetic fluid idea doesn't make sense considering sometimes hit the electron and sometimes you don't. So a thing moving around the nucleus. Uh, Again, the motion of the electron would be catastrophic to another electron. So you could just go by that theory alone. If I shoot an electron into an atom and the electrons are already moving 400,000 miles an hour or whatever, then there's going to be huge transfers of momentum logically. And then the electron in the atom would end up slowing down, and then it would crash into the proton. And I mean, the whole thing just doesn't work because spin and motion inside of the nuclear, the foundational function, is just troublesome. It just creates all kinds of things that quantum mechanics was supposed to say don't exist. The whole idea of Planck constants and the fact that the geometry gets simpler, not more complicated. And they've just broken all of those basic rules. We're supposed to think of the geometry being a ton more complicated. It's bent space, it's warped this, it's all this wooey religious crap. So again, all of the power of our existence is in the God creator, okay, and we don't have any. And they have it exactly backwards. We're fucking green slime that has crawled out of the bucket, and educated itself all through, with no help from anyone, so to speak. That's the real story. The story isn't the stupid God delusion. And the story of physics is a simple mechanism, not a complex mechanism. It's a fucking checkerboard, retards. All right. Let's see. I really don't like people who type just one word here. A particle, a comet. Yes, comet was the word I was looking for. Was the word you were looking for? Yes, you should have put that as one typing. So next time, do that. But comet, was that the word you're looking for? And meteor, all in one typing. Okay. Asteroids and comets. Yeah, see, you people, I mean, all I have to do is mispronounce something, do something silly, stick my finger in my ear. I don't know. I do something silly, then you'll comment on it. I say something meaningful. Fuck it. Who cares about that? Just, you do understand. That's why I hate you. I'm sorry. I mean, I'd like to not hate you people, but I just can't. I just can't stand how stupid everyone is. Can't stand it. Can't stand it. So it's nice little piece now. I don't have to read for a little bit. It's a much more relaxed room that way. But I am supposed to be doing some work here. Let's see. I start at 2, I think. 2:30 wasn't? That's an hour and a half. Yeah, I guess I go a little longer. Well, it's good you're participating. So I appreciate the participation because I was just going to do one of my rambly videos. But I would like to get into a room with somebody who would like to argue this until dead. Where I can just go through all the crap and they can say, well, here's some evidence. I'll go look at their evidence. And the next time we talk, I'll explain why their evidence is a steaming pile of shit. And we really get to the bottom of this. We argue it till dead. There's a truth here that the evidence points at it, and it's so damn clear to me that bent space is a silly answer. No energy involved. It doesn't account for conservation. It just breaks all the rules of what physics should be. It's a totally unaccountable woo-woo explanation. It's a God of the gaps explanation for the event. And it should not, people shouldn't find it acceptable. It's just so silly. The nothing is doing it. The nothing makes the big giant somethings move. I mean, please. You can't hear how stupid that sounds? The great and powerful nothing. I mean, it's not even like the Wizard of Oz or something. The great and powerful nothing. You would fall for that? I mean, you wouldn't know that if you're going to go see the great and powerful nothing, that there's probably a man behind the curtain. You know, I mean, Oz, you might be fire hologram guy. Ooh, yeah, that's kind of impressive. But you're going to see the great and powerful nothing. You can't. You got to know there's something behind the curtain. Yes, electrons. I don't think. Look, this isn't important to my theory, to tell you the truth, but I just think it because it's logical to me that electrons don't need to circle atoms. Um, the momentum would just be a problem, and it wouldn't link the atoms together. So I'm saying, what do you think is a good linkage? This stupid figure eight thing, or an electron sitting right there in the middle of the figure eight being shared? I mean, if you understand the electron and the proton to be magnetic monopoles, so just think of them in terms of their magnetic repulsion and attraction. So the electron's attracted to the proton, and the electrons are repulsive to each other. It just makes so much fucking sense that that's what's locking the atoms together. And it really can't do it if you have it swirling around. There's no figure eights in the universe. There's no galaxies held together by some magical little sun that goes between the two galaxies, and that'll never happen. It doesn't work. It's shit as a model. I guess you think that most of what people say about black holes, of course, I think most of what they say about black holes is bullshit. I mean, you're certainly not going to time travel in one, and you're not going to do this, and you're going to go to visit your daughter's bedroom or any of that kind of horse shit. And, it's not going to make 7,000 foot tall waves. It won't bother you at all. And it's not going to dilate time so much, that 500 feet away, the other guy aged 35 years. Yeah, all that shit ain't going to happen. So, yes, 90% of what they say about black holes is shit. I think there's black energy, I mean, black matter in the universe. I won't call it dark matter, I'll just call it black matter, that there's heavy dead suns. But I think that's as far as it goes. I don't think there's any black hole in the sense of where they've compressed matter into a smaller space. I'm not even sure about the whole neutron star theory. I don't think, because neutrons are protons and electrons, I don't think neutrons are capable of withstanding high pressure. So I don't think neutrons could survive the pressure of a heavy object. So it would have to be it'd have to be a proton star or an electron star, but I don't think it could be a neutron star because I don't think neutrons are more stable than electrons individually or protons individually. Let's see. Do they? That is van der Waals forces are produced. Yeah, whatever. I don't have to. I don't have to concede the existence of anybody's forces. So whatever. That's all I'll say to that. Yes, we've already. I think it's logical to us. Like I said, they saw the solar system before they saw inside the atom. So they just used the model of the solar system and said, "Look, it's a fractal." It's a logical thing to do, but they shouldn't have held on to it. Well, you see, Piro hasn't even watched my videos. He says, "Why do electrons and protons attract?" I mean, so he hasn't even paid enough attention to understand that the whole argument is there's a bunch of force in the universe, like the cosmic background radiation, and that force pushes things into each other, generally speaking, especially in the case of electrons and protons, where all the pressure leaks out. The proton pressure leaks out the electron pressure leaks out the proton, and the two go together because the external pressure pushes them together. So he's claimed that in my theory is shit, and he hasn't even paid any attention to my theory. So it doesn't seem like you have gotten rid of pull. Yes, I completely have gotten rid of pull. Things are always pushed. There's never a pull ever. I now understand why you hated Interstellar. Yeah, well, it was just an absolute lie all over. It's just a lie after a lie after a lie after a lie. It was just such a piece of shit. The whole idea of, oh, we're waiting for Professor Crazy Fuck to invent the anti-gravity machine so we can send our giant cement complex to Saturn. I mean, just the very idea that people thought that was a realistic hope. I mean, I would just eat my neighbor's brain before I would bother counting on Professor Wacky Pants to do something miraculous in the next 4 seconds. I mean, it's just such a silly idea. I got the gravity equation. I'm going to solve for the problem and create the anti-gravity thing, and I can make anything go anywhere for free. I mean, it was just such a silly premise. Who could believe that was possible? And then she did it because Daddy sent her the secret from the the black hole. The secret was inside the black hole. Oh, the whole story was just so fucking stupid. If monopoles are attracted to one another, are they being pushed or pulled? Everything gets pushed, but there's an external field pressure. Don't you understand? How many times do I have to say it? Cosmic background radiation times 1 trillion. That's what's really in there. Okay, we can't see it because it doesn't have a frequency. So it's not on the electromagnetic spectrum, but it's a lot of little bitons. Okay, a bunch of bitons. And that's what creates gravity, one of the strongest forces in the universe, in spite of what they say. Uh, and so, yes, anytime two things exist in that field of pressure, they will block pressure towards each other, and that or be pushed into each other because they're creating shadows. Oh. So look, these people haven't watched shit of my videos. I mean, just to, you're not going to do a unification theory in a live room. I mean, if you're not willing to watch one of my videos, watch the overview videos to understand the concept, or the start here videos. If you're not willing to watch those 2 hours, then forget it. You're not capable of challenging my theory because you don't know it. I'm not going to undo Einstein and all of quantum physics in a 5-minute explanation. No, it takes 2 hours to do that. If monopoles are trying to one another, they are being pushed or pulled. Okay, pushed. It's a simple question. Sorry. No, I'm just irritated because it's just over and over and over again. They attract because they are being pushed externally. Yes. Is Hofladay a screaming, crazy, retarded motherfucker, skanky catfucker? Yes. No, he's formally educated in mathematics, and it's a limited formal education. Sorry if I asked a lot of questions. I don't mind questions. I'm familiar with your philosophical view, biology, which is mostly agree with. I am AN, but not your views on physics. Well, that's why this is called a different channel, and it's because it does the physics thing. Interesting view on gravity you have here. Do you have any idea how we could try to detect those pushing particles? Well, yeah. Oh, there, I detected them. Yeah. Sorry, yeah, they're pretty easy to detect. But yes, no, you can't. The only way we see the electromagnetic spectrum is because it vibrates electrons, because it hits them with a fast enough frequency. If the frequency gets too low, you can't vibrate the electron, can't see it. So it's even true for, there's a point where you can't detect really, really long radio wavelengths. So if your hertz goes down to one hertz, you probably can't detect it anymore. Let's see. Interesting view on gravity. You have okay now. Hathaway is not formally trained in physics, but he has a math degree of some sort, I think. Yes. That's it. Yeah. And Piro has a philosophy degree that he calls a physics that somehow gave him physics enlightenment. Look, we have to use vernacular that is in the vocabulary. I'm sorry. I mean, I would like to extract the word attraction out of vocabulary, but it's sort of stuck. So I do try to modify my vocabulary, but obviously it's such a. I mean, I say pull all the time when I shouldn't. I say attract when I shouldn't, because it isn't accurate. And I say me instead of saying brain. Instead of saying I think, I should say brain thinks. Brain says. But I don't do that. I'm just saying yes, it's more accurate to say it the right way, and I wish I could do it easily. So it's okay to harp on me about it. It's something I probably should learn how to do. It's just difficult to extract all these words like random and spontaneous. There's a ton of words that have absolutely no rational meaning. Love, out of our vocabulary. I'd love to do it, but I don't have the power to do it. Let's see. Has any god posed any challenges to his men in unified? No. I don't know. I don't think Anaconabot is very highly educated on physical mechanics. You have been a great teacher. If you put your mind to it, you're obviously a genius. Well, whatever. I don't like any of those words. I don't. I obviously did a few things right, so I'm good at a few things. I suck at a lot of things, but I'm good at a few things. So whatever that means. I do have my assets, and one of them is I can see through bullshit fairly well. So we would require a huge detector to be able to detect any of these long wavelengths. I don't go with that argument. Uh, Bigger makes it easier to see smaller, so I don't really, I don't really go for that. So I think I would. I did have a theory at one time about how it might be done, but I don't remember it at the moment. So I'll write that down as something to contemplate. Gravity detector. Okay. But yes, I don't believe it bends light. It doesn't bend forces. It doesn't interact with forces. Forces don't interact with forces. So yes, you are very limited in your ability to detect it to moving electrons and protons, and those you don't even give velocity to. You can only give those acceleration. The atom has to convert it into velocity. So that's the whole trick of it. So to really detect the bits, you're basically stuck with giving atoms, whole material atoms, velocity, and that's an awful lot of energy. So you're certainly not going to detect a single graviton. Um, you're a great guy, Gary. Well, whatever. I do hope you win your Nobel Prize. Good luck. Yes, I do hope I can be done with this. I mean, I'm stuck in it now. I mean, I really didn't. If I knew ahead of time that it was going to be this big a failure to try to communicate, I probably wouldn't have. And if my father was still alive, it would make a difference. I mean, if my father had died before I unified physics, I might not have cared as much. But when I started, I really wanted to prove something to him, and so it really pisses me off that you people had to be such stupid, belligerent assholes. Yeah, there's no ether. I guess the shadow isn't ether. There's no why do people cling to this? I don't even understand how you even make ether make any sense. Ether made out of what? Sand, mud, dead frogs? What? But more like proportional to how many protons, electrons, and neutrons are contained in the object. Yes, they're the things absorbing acceleration. When you absorb acceleration, you absorbed the force for a period of time. When you absorb the force, it can't hit what it was going to hit. So if this accelerates towards this, it means it absorbed a bunch of stuff moving this way. And the stuff moving this way didn't hit this thing. So this thing's now got a bunch of stuff hitting it this way and very little stuff hitting it this way. So it moves this way. And when it moves, it absorbs stuff going this way. Uh-oh, that means this thing won't get hit with that force. That means this thing will move faster. And that's how gravity works. It induces, gravity is inductive. That's also in my overview videos. The two things induce it in each other. Okay. Are we the brain? Let's see. I don't know. I guess the shadow. Okay, I want to see if I finish that. Protons, electrons. The more of these, the bigger the shadow. Well, the more opportunity to absorb. uh, force. Yes. Are we the brain if while it's not powered, we still can have experience? Well, whatever. A wrong subject. We're not doing brain here right now. So, whatever. I can't make any sense out of it anyway. Not powered. Nothing. There's no free energy and there's no working without energy. So if the brain's not powered, you can freeze one maybe. I mean, I can put my computer on hibernate where it stores its fingerprint of its arrangement essentially. So you could store the fingerprint of your brain and then, you know, unhibernate it and it will, oh, yeah, where was I? Kind of like the Terminator movie when they pull his chip out and then they fuck around for 5 minutes and then they put his chip back in. He goes, hey, 5 minutes have gone by. You're supposed to just turn the chip over and pop it in. So he said something wrong. Hint, hint. Why didn't you put my chip back in, fuckers? All right. Have you ever submitted a paper? Yes. Yeah, but all the journals are bullshit. You don't get reviewed. You get reviewed by an idiot. A complete idiot reads your paper and decides whether to give it to a physicist. Clearly, they're not going to be able to understand. So they're just going to say, oh, truther, he's a nut. He's a crazy. He's a fanatic. No, no, no. He doesn't get to physics. He doesn't get to argue physics. So fuck that shit. Fuck speaking Mexican too. Fuck that shit. Speak English if you're going to participate here. So, according to your model, gravity should be weaker if an area is surrounded by a lot of matter, since anything in the middle would get hit by less velocity giving particles. Well, the last bit of that was right. Yes. So, according to your model, gravity should be weaker if an area is surrounded by a lot of matter, since anything in the middle would be getting hit by. No, there's more matter is more gravity. I don't know what you're talking about. Gravity should be weaker if an area is surrounded by a lot of matter. I don't even know what that means. If you created a hollow earth, there wouldn't be any gravity inside the earth. So if you can understand it that way, yes, that's perfectly true. And conventional physics also believes that. They'll tell you, a real physicist will tell you, if you could hollow out the middle of the earth and throw it into, that yes, there'd be no gravity inside the earth. All right, good movie, whatever that means. You're an idiot. Anyway, um, in the sense that stuff in the middle would be less attracted to each other. It's not less attracted, it's that there's a balance. What you're looking for is imbalances. And if you create a sphere with equal mass on either side, you've created balance essentially because the amount of mass affecting this object is this entire 180 degrees, and the amount of mass on this side is only this 180 degrees. So you're being affected by more matter at a longer distance and less matter close up, and it's exactly proportional. So no matter where you move, there's a balance of exposure through the arc, the inverse squared law of matter, our gravitational influence. You can be gravitationally pulled in one direction, in this direction, in this direction, in this direction, and all of those balance out. Obviously, if I hit something this way and this way at exactly the same time, it would look like this. Get it? All right. Why did you feel the need to prove yourself to your father? Because father, we got along fine. We spent time on weekends, go fishing, golfing. We did stuff together. But I don't think he ever thought of me as fucking brilliant, and he should have. Yeah, I guess that's part of it. I think he thought I was what do you call it? Broken. As a kid, I was really, I did really badly in school. I had lots of emotional issues. I was not a happy camper, and I just think he thought I was a pussy and a bit of a, you know, a bit of a what's the word for like a rotten egg? Not a rotten in a bad way. Just I was defective, and so I think he thought of me as defective. And he just didn't want to invest in me. And so he never talked to me about anything important. He just always, we talked, but we always talked about how, well, hey, the grass is looking a little brown. Yeah, it's a brown grass problem. What do you think we ought to do? Yeah, well, maybe we ought to water the grass. Yeah, okay. We have those kind of conversations. But nothing ever, nothing interesting. And just, I just don't think he thought of me as a real person. And then when I became a vegetarian and everything I did just seemed weird to him. Vegetarian, that seems pretty not usual. you know, so and I just and he didn't. I have an anxiety disorder, which just made me a wreck. So I didn't go to college because I was going insane, and he couldn't understand any of that. He was just like, not going to college, that's retarded, and he was right. I mean, but yeah, I just couldn't do it. So anyway, enough of that. I don't want to do all that crap in here. I'll start crying and singing "Oh My Papa" or something. Let's imbalance this less gravity. Okay. Do you have a theory about the nine game numbers play? No, there's no theory. Whatever. Do numerology somewhere else, please. Not interesting. Perfect balance would be no acceleration in any direction. I understand. Yes, perfect. Got it. And the key is nothing's ever perfectly balanced. You can imagine that the universe, although huge, dense, trillion, 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 zillion, zillion, zillion little grains of sand moving the speed of light at you, and there's just every minute, there's every millisecond of Planck time, there would be, oh yeah, I got hit by one more piece of sand this way, and then you'd be, oh, two more this way, and so everything, even though it's, there's never perfect balance. That's why there's no resolution to pi. Pi is an unresolvable number because you can never get to the the real density. Like there's no real circle. It's just really whatever an octagon would be called if you could multiply it by a zillion. Yeah, just little facets. They're little straight lines. You can never get rid of the Elysing, and so the universe always has a straight line at the root. All right. So anyway, so I think that's probably a good point to leave and say thank you very much and whatnot. A couple hours is more than I thought I would do. It wasn't so bad. Most of this wasn't terrible, so I'll probably try to keep doing this. And but my real intent or objective is to get somebody in live conversation where they come in a conventional physics believer and one of us dies. Yeah, while we're making the videos. I mean, one of us dies, and therefore the other guy wins. So we figure out who's right by just waiting for one of us to die. So that's what I really need to have happen. Hey, Mr. Keebler, very funny man, really. I mean, I know he's not always funny on purpose, but I mean, he's banjo and the ukulele player guy singing songs and shit. He's pretty good. He's trying to be a human. Anyway, um, so yeah. Well, anyway, so we'll try again and shit like that. No, I don't know. I don't get the whole rogue philosophy Discord server thing. I just don't. It doesn't work good in my opinion. I'm not a chat guy. Not even close to a Twitter kind of person. I don't. I just don't do whatever that is. So if I can't argue with a person live, or I can't make a video, I don't really want to do it. So all the rest of this stuff can go to hell. I just don't need it. I don't see it as more productive use of my time. So yeah. So sorry, Discord people, but I'm just not a chatter. I'm honored. Well, you watch. Yes, I watch this. Yes. Appreciate the effort. Yeah, they're not all perfect, but yeah, I appreciate the effort. Anyway, you can argue live. There's a voice chat. Yeah, I know. I've heard that there's a voice chat now, but it didn't work when I was there. And again, I just don't. I don't know what I need to do it for. Okay, that's all. I don't understand what the function is, and it seems like it's a social function, and I'm just not a social person. I'm just not. I mean, even though I seem like, you know, friendly and whatever, I'm just not. It's not that I'm not friendly. I really have so much work to get done. I want to get all this shit done and have a good wank and die. That's my plan. I want to get all this crap. I want to get, or life is shit. Physics is stupid. Get all this stuff proven and then just get out of here. Yeah. So I don't want to have a bunch of conversations getting there that I don't need to have. I guess that's part of it. I'm just kind of talked out. Doing all this stuff is work. As much as it doesn't seem like work, it's work. And it's enough. That's what it is. Let's see. All right. But if you don't feel like using it, all right. Oh, yes, I don't. Currently, we are doing written beginner's guide to Ephilism. Good. Yes. I love the writing part. People do more writing. Yes. Write stuff. Good. Then I don't have to. It's perfect. Uh, See, I got my next Mendem video I'm working on. Yeah, I write stuff. I have to format it, but it's going to be on the stupid subject, which is how the fuck can you idiots believe that our brain isn't just reflexes and that feelings don't matter? How do you make feelings not matter? I mean, I'm personally sampling them right now. I'm sampling feelings. How would I ever conclude they don't matter? They can't help but matter. It's just insane. It doesn't matter whether I'm tortured. I mean, it would be an insane thing for me to say. If there was actually torture on the line and I would actually be tortured, I would never lie. And, oh, no, it doesn't matter. Go ahead and torture me. I know. It's preposterous. Anyway, comment on defeating a scientist. Will happen someday. Yes, someday I'll get my chance to prove everything. Yeah, this thinking atheist guy. I don't even know if he does is a thinking atheist, but regardless, if somebody's mentioning it again. I mean, what does he conclude? The thinking atheist that people can ethically have children? I don't think people can ethically own a goldfish. So I'm pretty sure the thinking atheist hasn't really thought about it, but whatever. I don't didn't need to reference. You referenced it already once on the motherfucking Amendum channel. Do you have to reference it again? I mean, you're just doing promos for people who are wrong. Oh, great. Advertise idiots on my channels. Fantastic. I'm sure the idiots won't advertise me on theirs. But anyway, whatever. Do as you will. Oh, I didn't notice. Wasn't watching the built-in chat. Hopefully there's nothing in it. Yes, there's nothing in it. Okay. So the actual built-in chat they have in the live room thing, nobody chats in. So cool, YouTube. It's like bent space, nothing. But it doesn't do anything, so it's unlike bent space because it doesn't do anything. Anyway, till next time and such. So whatnot. I gotta get the hell out of here. Long day already. There's a button I hit. Ah, stop.